just human beings of the channel, a summit of sisterhood for me, for you, for us. Today, we have 3 extraordinary human beings that are going to speak with us. Our first person today is Miss Courtney Allison, who's in the room with me already. This is going to be such a beautiful conversation, and one that I think is very beneficial to all women. Very, very beneficial, because I feel like being in sisterhood, sometimes we have this fear that we have no room to do what we need. We have no room to take a break. Like, if we don't consistently overgive, over deliver, or show up for everything, we'll be cast out. And this is a story of how, even though there are some women in the channel that stayed connected the entire time, this one is a different story. And I'm excited for you to hear about it and to kind of dive into sisterhood in the way Courtney experienced it, her experience in the channel, and then also what she does. And we'll dive into a beautiful conversation together. So without any further ado, Courtney, come meet me here.
Hello.
Hello. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you. How are you?
I am doing so well. So would you like to tell us a little bit about your experience in the channel? Seems like this is the place to start.
Yeah, would love to. Okay, where do I start? Because there's actually a lot of different things in here that I would love to have a conversation about when it comes to kind of the sisterhood and my experience and my evolution with it. So I came into this so excited, right? Like, you had this offer and I'm like, I told my husband, I'm like, I have to be part of this. Like, whatever it is, I don't even know what it is, but I have to be part of it, right? And so I joined, and I came into the channel with almost this expectation that, like, what am I going to get from this, right? Like, all right, it's Melanie, like, it's about maybe business growth, and like, I want to grow my business, right? And I came into this with some expectations, and I learned along the way that I had to totally like remove those expectations. And I realized that this was going to be an opportunity for me to grow as a person and grow as just this woman that I am. And so I came into the channel, and as everybody has experienced already, like, there are some badass women in here, right? Like, really incredible. And I was like so triggered. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing in here? Like, not that I didn't feel like I didn't have a seat at the table, but I felt like I was like at the kids' table, right? Like, oh, there's everybody at the adult table. And then, like, is there like a kid table for me? Like, where's the kids' table? I need to sit at that one, right? And I kept trying to, like, hey guys, can I join the big table, right? Can I join? But I never felt like I had that place there. Not that anybody did that to me, but I did that for myself, right? And on this for our call today. Oh, am I freezing up?
A little bit.
Okay, shoot. Okay, hopefully it resolves itself. But as I was kind of preparing for this call, I was like, what was that? Because I don't feel that way any longer, and I'll get into why. But I was like, what was that? Like, at the start of this, like, I was just trying to, like, get everybody's attention. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be like part of it, right? But I just couldn't break through to that, let's say, adult table. And I realized that I had this like little sister energy. And so, background, I am the youngest of 5. And so I've always been like the baby sister, right? Like, that was just kind of my identity with growing up, with life, you know. And I realize now, just as I've been reflecting, like, I came in here with this like little sister energy, like, hey guys, you're all so awesome. And, you know, here I am, little baby sister Courtney, right? And it was really a crazy growth journey of realizing, like, that isn't benefiting me. That isn't doing me any good. No one's going to be like, hey, yeah, come at the big girl table. Like, you got to be a big girl, right? And get yourself to that table. And so I really had to work on that type of energy throughout this whole 2-year experience. And it just finally landed of like, I kept thinking I was like the little sister to all of these amazing women, rather than really owning my power and embodying it and stepping into it, right? And so I had to really make this choice towards the middle of the channel. Here I am. I said I wasn't going to cry to myself, but I always cry. So about the middle of the channel, I found out I was pregnant with our third child. And right from the get-go, it was really a hard pregnancy. I was in the ER a couple times and had to have emergency surgery as I was, as I was like 10 weeks pregnant, right? I've never in my life had any really health scare. And so this was a really hard time for me. Woo! Love you guys.
You've got this. You've got this.
Give me a sec.
Yeah. As Homaya would say, we breathe. We take a deep breath.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. So halfway through the channel, I found out I'm pregnant. I have, this big health scare. And I end up having to go have emergency surgery and have my right ovary removed. It was totally twisted and dead, and it was causing severe pain in my body. And luckily we found it. And so I was about 10 weeks pregnant when I went in and had emergency surgery. And it was really, really scary. And so after that, I then had about 2.5 months of severe morning sickness. So it was about 4 months of between really bad morning sickness, like laid up in bed all day long. Like my poor 2 other children, they were like missing their mother, right? And I joke that my husband was like a single dad for like 3 months. So I was laid up in bed for literally probably 4 months. And then, things kind of smoothed out. I got past that, recovered from the surgery, but I realized like my nervous system is like trying to process all of this. And if I put more on my plate right now than just recovering, I may hold this on as a traumatic experience, right? And so I'm a nervous system, I do all things nervous system in my line of work. So I really understood that if I try to push myself and do more than what I'm capable of doing right now, that in of itself will probably push me past what I can stay present with. And that is what causes us to kind of hold trauma on into our body. It's not necessarily the experience that we go through, it's our inability to stay present with ourselves and stay present with our experience, our sensations, our body, all of that. So knowing that was like, I have to cut out everything. Anything that is feeling in my body, like I can't stay present with my current experience of life, recovery, being a mom now, taking care of myself pregnant, I have to cut it out because I don't want to hold on to this trauma. I don't want to hold on to this as trauma, right? And so I had to make the decision, seeing everybody still, having their calls and going on the retreat and having conversation and really like forming this really deep sisterhood kind of over here. I was like, I have to remove myself right now. Like that's too much, right? And by doing that, I had to honor myself. I had to honor my journey. I had to honor my nervous system over that need to feel belonging, right? That need to feel like I want to be at the big kid table. I want to be growing my business. I want to be doing all of these things, like helping others. I knew that if I don't help myself in this moment, I'll never get back there, right? And so I was MIA for a year out of the channel. And I just had my son back in August, who was like amazing, healthy, like everything was beautiful after kind of those really hard like 4 months. So he's now 2 months old, and it finally, there was like this shift after about 6 weeks postpartum of like, oh, okay, like the world has kind of opened back up to me. Like it was like this, nervous system of like, I think we can handle some more. Like, I think it's time, like we've grown, we've evolved, we've stayed with ourselves, we didn't leave ourselves. And now you have the capacity to go back to that group. And so it was only a few months ago, or only a few weeks ago, that I made the decision. I'm like, I'm making a post in there. I'm coming back in here. I know that this container is like almost over and we have the summit in a few weeks and everybody is already, in that energy of that, but I'm like, I'm coming back. I don't care. And I had to lead myself right back into the group. No one was like, Courtney, are you coming back? Like, what are you doing? Hello. I had to say and make that decision of, I'm ready to step back in here. I'm ready to lead myself back into this room. And when I came back in, I don't know, it must have been from my journey, right? Of like finally holding myself and honoring myself and being in my power in those hard months, that when I stepped back in, I didn't feel that little girl, like that little sister energy. And I'm like, here I am, guys. Like, can I, I'm like, I'm going to take my power. I'm going to grab a chair from the kid table and I'm moving it back over to the adult table. And everybody was so beautiful. Like everybody's just welcomed me back in. I've been active in the chats again. And it's just been such a beautiful experience to know that like I needed to leave for a time and take care of myself. And that I had to lead myself back into the group, and not in a way of like, nobody wanted me there, but everybody was there to welcome me. But I had to lead myself back in there.
There's so much I want to say about this story because I feel like this is the most extraordinary example, and so many people will have a huge learning from this. So first of all, the incredible thing is no one's experience of you was that you were a little sister that just wanted to sit, that was sitting at the little girl's table. Like no one had that experience. That was your experience, right? So for us, we're all equal power. And what I find in life is that this is how we take ourselves out, is that we have an experience and we bond it with something that we know. And so, for example, I feel a little bit smaller or a little bit less advanced than the other women here. I feel the same as I feel with my real sisters. I'm the little sister in this group. I'm sitting at the kiddie table. These links get created. Now, I'm the big sister. I'm the big sister in my family, and I see everybody like we got this, like I got you. So I don't think about those things because I bond that. I got this, we got this, I'm the big sister, and we don't really think about those things. We just kind of operate in that way. And so I would never think to myself that you're feeling like a little sister in this moment. And you would never think to yourself, like Melanie is seeing me as equal as her in the moment where you're feeling like a little sister. I'm not seeing like the other girls think I'm like, it's like I'm thinking like I'm at the little kids table. And so in the moment where you decided, I've got to do what's best for me, I've got to take care of me, what you actually did is you saw yourself as capable of making the right decision for you. You didn't ask anybody for their advice. You didn't ask anybody what you should do. You knew what you should do. And I feel like that moment you had a rite of passage into womanhood is what happened. And so you went through a journey that was like, even belonging to your husband and belonging with your 2 other kids, like that was a difficult thing. You had to separate yourself from everyone to heal, to make sure this 3rd child comes into the world healthy. You took the leadership role. And you took the leadership role in your life and you really found your place. And so when you walked back into the channel, you walked back like, I've decided I belong everywhere, here included. And everybody was like, well, that's great. You belonged before you left, you belong now, but like, yay. What I can tell you is from my experience, and I have a feeling that the women in here can attest to this, the biggest difference from you, what I feel, is I feel you care about us.
Mm.
And I think that sometimes the little sister thing, what we do is we want everybody to care about us because we're the little sister. And so we're like, can I come? Do you want me to come? Can I come? Which is like, can you see me? Do you want me to come? Can I come with you? Instead of like, do you need something? How are you doing? How's life? And now you have this like, how can I be there for you? You've been one of the most active, caring participants in the summit. You've been there for other people. You're commenting on things like you found the bandwidth to hold your space. And the thing with sisterhood is everyone thinks it's someone else that's not letting you belong. But in fact, it's that we haven't come into our womanhood yet. We're waiting for someone to invite us into the circle to play duck, duck, goose with, to say, you want to be my best friend? Instead of saying, I'm the one. And when you walked back into this freaking space, we all felt it. You made the post, you owned your life, you owned your decisions in a very powerful way. There was zero like, I'm sorry, I left. None of that. You were like, I left. It was the best decision I could do. I'm ready. I'm back. And I'm so excited. And we were all like, yes. And you jumped right in as though you'd never left. And that's what sisterhood is. You've got to take the space for yourself if you've got to. And you don't apologize that you did that. You just come back with all the love in your heart and you pick up where you left off. And if you do that, you can have sisters all over the planet. You can have people you don't see for years that you pick back up with like it was yesterday. You can have a break and pick back up because you do the work in your life and you come back better, stronger, and more in love with yourself, in which case more in love with the people you come back to. And I'm so impressed with the way that you used your own body of work to say, I know what happens if I don't regulate my nervous system. If I don't take care of this actively now, this will imprint as a trauma. And it's going to take me so much longer to take care of this. So what am I going to do? Do I lean into the trauma of FOMO and being the little sister? Or do I be a big girl and a woman about this? And do I say, let me make sure that I'm preventing the trauma from this event and I'll deal with everything else later? And that was such a boss move. That was such a mom move. That was such a woman move. That was such a big sister move. You guys will be okay. I'll come back later. All of that was done spectacularly. And now look, it all works out beautifully. So you nailed that. That was an amazing experience.
Thank you. Oh, I receive all of that. Like, that means the world to me. And I think I learned too through this is power and sisterhood and belonging. It's not this, I have to be there for everybody, right? I have to do it all. I have to, take care of everybody, or I need to show up and everybody see me. It really, for me, I learned is personal power is a capacity to choose. A capacity to choose what's best for you. And it isn't this, right? That energy of gotta do it all. That's how I show my power. It's like, no, I show my power by standing in what I need for my body, for my nervous system, for my family, right? And it's the choice. It's the choice that really brings that power forward.
And the thing is, when you're in sisterhood with other women, because you're attracting powerful people into your reality, when you're in sisterhood with other women, they will completely understand when you need to do that because they're going to do it too. The place where we're still afraid is the little girl version of us as you didn't invite me to your party. You were supposed to come over and you didn't come. You canceled on me. You decided to go on vacation during the summer break and you didn't stay with me all summer and you've changed. You could have invited me, but you invited your other friend to this thing. I invited you and you said you couldn't come because you needed to do this instead. Like, those are all little girl ways of being in sisterhood. They're not woman ways to be in sisterhood. So a lot of times the healing of their sisterhood wound comes with the rite of passage into womanhood. And we don't know what that's going to take. We don't know what that moment, that initiation is going to be for us. But you really stepped into yours and came out the other side. And I feel like it was so healing for a lot of the women to see that if they had left, they could have come back and been accepted. Because I think for a lot of people, without you in the channel, it could have been that someone a few years later would have thought, well, if you were participating in the channel and you were friends with everybody, you belonged. But if you ever needed to leave, then you didn't belong until you until you that said, I left and I'm back and I still belong here. And I think that was so healing for everyone to say, oh my gosh, whether I would have left or not, I would have belonged here. And I think that is such a gift you gave everybody.
Yeah, the belonging was my choice, right? It wasn't if everybody said, oh yeah, we'll welcome you back in, you know, like this little girls club, right? It's like, no, I belong because I choose that I belong here. Whether I'm here for 2 months and then take a break and come back, I'm here because I choose that belonging.
This is the thing, like in concept, you can't even explain this as well as in an experience. Like your experience of this is like a written coding in the genetics of womanhood now. Like anybody who listens to this can really see it as an example, not just a concept, not like, of course you can go and you can come back. Like, here's what happened. And there was no pep talk or rally talk. Okay, ladies, now Courtney's back, be nice. Like there was no rally talk. It was just like, boom, keep going. Because
I mean,
that's,
you know, and I just wasn't part of it.
no, there wasn't. But like, that's what womanhood is. It's like, she's back. Let's go. We've got things to do. We've got a world to change. Let's go. She's back. This is amazing. Congratulations. So sorry for everything you went through. You know, we totally get it. We love you. We can't believe everything you walked with, and welcome back, and let's rock this thing. And I think that's the ideal of sisterhood that everyone hopes for, but they're not willing to let themselves. What they'll do instead is they'll show up a little bit when they don't want to. They'll give less of their presence than they could. They'll feel bitter and resentful anyway. And then when we got to the summit, you would have been like, okay, well, let me say my piece and then this thing's over, instead of like, let me take the break and then let me come in full force. This was like the best decision. So I'd love to hear more about your work, because I know you didn't just take a break from the channel. You took a break from everything. Like you just went like, I need to take care of my pregnancy. So tell us about that. How did that go and how did you pick it back up?
Oh, that's been a little bit of a challenge too. Again, because there's this energy too of like, if you're not always in, right, doing, people are going to forget about you. People are going to go on to the next person, right? And so again, I had to walk myself through a lot of those fears, right? Those triggers of, I'm not showing up on Instagram like I was. I'm not sharing this message of, you know, inner power and, you know, nervous system empowerment and all of that on the daily basis. Like, are people going to forget about me? And so there were a lot of those fears, those triggers. And I've realized over, you know, the course of a few years doing personal development and kind of being in this space, this industry, is it's all about the evolution, right? It's all about, this is a journey, and it's helping us grow if I lean into this. And so through the pregnancy, as these triggers were coming up, as these fears were coming up, as I was noticing like, oh, I have this urge to post, but like, I don't even know what I want to post about right now, but like, I feel like I got to just get something out there. Like I was letting myself settle with that energy and realize, okay, there's a lot of healing that needs to be done for me in the midst of, you know, the pregnancy and all of that. There's also a lot of inner work that I get to do here around my business, even though I'm not active in my business. It's like I needed that space from being in my work to actually heal and grow and develop the work in my body so that I could come back later and be like, hey, I've embodied, you know, I've grown with this, with my triggers, with the things that used to pop up in my business, but I was just too busy, you know, doing in the business, that I didn't have time to really sit with some of those triggers of failure or not being seen or not being successful enough. Like I actually had the space to be with those in my body. And so that journey, kind of this middle journey, right, of like not doing anything, actually helped me grow deeper in what the work I do now, more than if I had just been working with clients, right? And so again, it was just this, like, I'm realizing looking back that this pregnancy and all of this was exactly what I needed again, so I could step into here in the channel, the sisterhood, but also so I could step into my business, not as the little sister, the little coach energy, right? Like the little chicken nugget, like you call it, but as the actual embodiment of the work that I talk about, right? Actually being the embodiment of an inner leader, an embodied leader. Like that's really my message for entrepreneurs, is being able to be in our body, being able to use our nervous system, like harness the power of our nervous system and be in relationship with our power versus like thinking about our power, right? And so I realized when I was just working my business, I was thinking about this, how to help my clients with that, but I needed to kind of come back into my body and grow through all of that even deeper. And so again, I've kind of stepped back into my business very around the same time that I stepped back into the channel. And I'm like, I'm here to help leaders. I'm here to help coaches. I'm here to help entrepreneurs through those hard moments on that nervous system level, like I had to help myself. So that's, again, I've had this huge evolution through
This
it
is
all.
amazing. So tell me about what your capacity is now. Like, do you feel like you're going to be doing just a few one-on-ones? Do you think it's going to be like more group stuff? What are you feeling pulled to in this season?
I have really sat with that. I definitely have space, I know, for one-on-ones, like 2 or 3. And then I would really love to hold like a small group, like a small mastermind, right? Of helping probably moms, right? Entrepreneurs that are trying to hold a lot of things and are maybe feeling burnout, that are feeling frustrated that they can't do all the things. And it's really about coming back into our body and learning, what do we have the capacity to hold? Yes, we can expand into more, into greater, but we have to understand that our nervous system is what helps us expand. And if we're not in communication with that, in touch with that, we're just going to be pushing for more versus actually allowing the body to be able to hold more.
This is amazing. And I want to tell you, I just had like a feeling for you for a one-on-one offer that I think would be really cool, especially if you're only wanting to hold a few. But something that's coming through for me listening to you do this is like, imagine if you offered something that's like the comeback. And it's the opportunity for someone to actually leave whatever they're leaving, whether it's leaving social media, leaving their business for a few weeks, months, whatever is best for them. But you help them with the FOMO of and actually finding their power and leaving, where they may have never let themselves disconnect. You help them regulate their nervous system around leaning back. You help them regulate their nervous system in the void, where they think, okay, and I did it for a day, I'm ready, I'm coming back. Like, can they hold that? No, I said I committed, I was leaving for a month or 2 months or whatever it is, like navigating their nervous system in the void, and then navigating their nervous system in the comeback and not being afraid that they've become irrelevant and actually reclaiming themselves. Like that journey for people who know they need a break and just don't know how to possibly let themselves take it. I feel like that could be a really cool, very specific offer.
I love that. Yeah.
And I feel like you'd be the perfect person to do it, because who better to do this with than someone who it's changed their lives to have done that? And who knows what it feels like, knows what the FOMO feels like, knows what the, oh gosh, I feel like I need to post something just to not become irrelevant. And also the whole feeling of like, can I come back and can I reclaim I belong because I said so? Like that whole sequence, I feel is just absolute brilliance. And it's so real. And it's so now, like, I feel like people could calibrate to that part of you so easily because it's so fresh.
Yeah. I love that so much.
Of course. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I want to make sure we say all the things. What I would love to know is, after we've been through this for 2 years, you kind of went away for a year. You came back, you said you didn't feel that feeling anymore. And so what I'd love to know is like, what's your experience of these women now? Whereas before they were the big girls that wouldn't let you sit at the table, quote unquote, even though you know that's not what it was. What is it now? How do you see them?
I feel like I see them, and I don't necessarily see them as what they do. Where when I came in, it was like, oh, she's doing this and she's doing, this amount of money per month, or, oh, she's been in this industry for 30 years, and she's doing this high level thing. Right. And I used to see things very kind of like in this hierarchy, right? Of like, your power is up here because you have done blah, 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 blah. Right. And now I see just the women as they all still are struggling with their own things, right? They're all still coming into the group for support and connection. And so I once I could get out of my own like little energy, I'm like, I just need to be here for them and not try to get something maybe from them or hope that they see me in a certain way. Like, I'm just here with them and that's it.
This is, for me, one of my favorite transformations of the entire channel, because I really profoundly believe this is the biggest sisterhood wound. This is the one. It's like, I see you for what you've done and I try to get something from you so that you make me feel a certain way, versus I see you for who you are. I admire what you've done, but I got your back no matter what, because we rise together and I matter and you matter and we've got this. And if we could do that, if everyone could heal that, like, this makes me feel like I can breathe. This takes away a rock on my chest. Like, this is like the breath that every woman who's ever become successful wishes for, because it's like, you're not good enough until the day you're too good. They don't see you because you're not good enough, and now they don't see you because you're too good. There's never a moment where another woman looks at you and says, I admire you for what you do, but I love you for who you are. No matter how successful you are, I've got your back and I can hold myself with you because we've got this. That is it. That is the beauty of this whole thing. And I see this idealistic vision of like women of all walks of life, shoulder to shoulder, equal power, but different. Because the thing is, I think what happened is you were able to see that what you had done, what you had done during your disappearance, during your inner voyage, was such a huge deal that you finally let yourself say, they did this, I did this. I can help them through this. They can maybe help me through this, but we have equal power. It's just different. They've managed to do that with theirs, and I've done this with mine. And we're the same. We still have the same feelings. I am in love with this. This is like, I couldn't have prayed for a better story to represent this. I feel like you hold so many pieces of the puzzle for this to have been a complete experience. And I want to thank you for coming back, for trusting yourself, and for just jumping in the way that you did, because I'm telling you, it was a healing thing for me, and it was a healing thing for so many women to watch you do that.
Yeah. That means a lot.
Is there anything else that feels important for you to share today while you're on with us?
I think what's coming through is this sisterhood, right? Whether it's here in the Alpha Femme group or the channel or with your own actual family, right? Let's say you have other sisters and maybe you don't even have that. Find something, right? That you can feel connection with, because with the nervous system, right? I love the nervous system because for me, it just makes everything make sense. But we need connection as part of our nervous system regulation, as part of our healing, right? If we have trauma, if we have wounds, if we have trapped emotions in our body, right, that's causing dysregulation in our system, we need connection to heal any of that. It doesn't matter what happened. If you don't have a love connection, loving connection right now present in your life, it's going to be hard for your nervous system to ever heal from those past wounds. So whatever you can find yourself a belonging with, find that for yourself, right? Like, we need that connection to heal wherever we're at. And I really see personal power as as this function of our nervous system, as part of who we are when we're in an empowered state, who we are when we're in a regulated state. And so if we're not connected to others and we're not connected to ourselves, it's going to be really hard to harness the power of our personal power, right? And to be all that we desire to be in our life. And so for me, I've learned like this sisterhood, this, the women in the channel, like they get to be a really important part for my nervous system regulation, for that connection piece that my nervous system needs to heal, to feel regulated, right? To feel empowered, to go forward in my business, to go forward in being a good mother, right? And so whatever connection you can find that is a very healthy, supporting, authentic connection, like find that for yourself, because you need that piece to do all of the magic that you're here to do.
And what would you say to a person who feels like they found that place, but they just can't get themselves to feel like the people that are there see them? What's a key part you could give them to focus on?
So yesterday, Nadia had her call and everybody was like, this is brilliant. Like, it was amazing. And there was a trigger in me, like, what if no one sees me tomorrow? Oh shoot, my call's tomorrow. Like, what if no one thinks I'm brilliant? What if no one like loves my conversation, right? And like, there was all these little things and I was like, okay, I gotta be with this. Okay, I gotta be able to feel safe in that what if, right? And so this is another piece of, let's say, the puzzle with the nervous system is we have to be able to feel safe in the midst of all of our discomfort. And so you might have found a place where you think, okay, I want to belong here, but like, what if no one sees me? You then have to take those triggers, those fears, that discomfort, right? That comes of what if no one sees me? What if no one thinks I'm brilliant? What if? And can you begin on the body level to feel safe in that, even if it's really uncomfortable, right? So yesterday I had to walk myself again through that. Like there's still triggers that come up in the midst of this group I'm learning. But I was like, okay, I am going to do the work again. I'm going to resource the safety that I know how to do. I'm going to feel this on the body level. I'm going to sit with this discomfort until I feel like it's shifted. And from that place of safety within myself, I then choose again to show up. And so if someone's not, if they're afraid that they may not belong or they may not be seen, you have to work on what that feels like in your body and find some sort of safety in that discomfort.
And ultimately, this is what you help people find when they work with you.
Yeah.
And I want to bring one other piece, another possibility, and this is a little bit edgier. And so when we look at Courtney's version of it, there's this beautiful healing, and this is what she supports her clients with. And I want to give you another perspective, which is more like my way of handling it, which is different, but it gives it a duality. Here's how I've always seen it for myself from the point where I found my power. When I see people love another person and admire another person, I used to feel like, what if I don't get admired like that? Then I don't belong. But then I had this breakthrough. Do I also see what everyone else is seeing about that person? And when I can say yes, I also belong, because we're all looking at the same star going, wow. And in that moment, there's a belonging if you let it. Instead of thinking that in order to belong, you need to be the star, you realize that in order to belong, you're the stargazer in that moment. And it doesn't mean that you don't have another moment later on where you're the one people look at, but the belonging doesn't always mean that you're the star. It means you're able to stargaze with other people who appreciate beauty. And I feel like when we look at the world as it is right now, and where a lot of the issues are, is that when there is a bright star and people are afraid of it, they want to take the bright star down because it gives them an issue. Like, let's say Taylor Swift, she's a very, very, very bright star. And it would be very easy for a lot of other entertainers and artists to look at Taylor Swift and say, if she's in the room, I feel like I don't belong. Everybody is more interested in what she's doing. Everyone is more interested in, you know, her life. Everyone is more interested in her shiny light. But if you can look at her and appreciate her, then you're like, you belong with everyone who sees her. And this would be such a healing thing for the world, is that in a moment where you catch everyone looking at a beautiful thing, instead of wishing you were the beautiful thing they looked at and seeing your non-belonging from that moment, is to gaze beautifully at the thing everyone's looking at in appreciation and realize it's beautiful as well. And I've been living my life that way. And it's like the beauty I see in you and my ability to see your beauty makes me belong, because we all see it. And that's really helped me be able to walk shoulder to shoulder with extraordinary women, because I know that the only thing I need in order to belong with them is to be able to see the beauty in them the way everyone else does, and then I belong. And if you imagine that is like the greatest way to feel, if you were to be the one in the spotlight and you could see everyone else looking at you, the one person who wouldn't belong would be the one person worried about their belonging. But really, if everyone gets on the same page that what you're doing is beautiful, everyone belongs to that moment. And so that's another analogy that I like in those moments that might also help. Because I know the feeling of feeling like, I hope I do. God, I know that feeling so well. But this is what's helped me, because what a lot of leaders tend to do, especially in the personal development world, is they'll surround themselves only with people who they think are a little bit less than them, so that they always feel like they belong, because belonging means being admired. But that's not really what sisterhood is about. Sisterhood is about equal power, but different. And so it means I see the beauty in you, and it doesn't make me question my own. As a matter of fact, the more beauty I see in you, the more beauty I see in myself, because I've not turned my heart cold, and I'm not looking for a way to diminish you so I still feel like I belong. And so this for me has been such a beautiful conversation. And what I particularly love about this one is it shows so much embodiment of your work. So much, like, you are such a, I think for people who choose a mentor and a coach that does trauma work and nervous system work, the number one most important thing is that that person is authentic and truthful if you're going to heal. And for you to show up here and say, even yesterday, I had to use my own principles on myself for me to show up today in the way that I wanted to. And you've nailed today. Like, today was spectacular. And so you were able to do that because of what you did for yourself yesterday. This work is so real, but you've got to be willing to be vulnerable and authentic. And you model that. You model everything you say, your proof of concept for everything you stand for. And that really is what's required for someone that wants to do the profession that you do. Like, you're really in alignment with what you're doing.
Thank you. That means a lot. And I've had to learn that power, right? I know you talk a lot about personal power, right? And so we can see other people's power. I can see your personal power and how you've led yourself through life, right? And we're like, and you tell us, yes, you have personal power, right? What is that personal power though? Like, do you know that in your body? That is the work we all have to do. Right? We have to get in relationship with that power. It's an aliveness. It's a feeling. It's the contraction when you walk into the room, right? Or it's the expansion. It's the triggers. It's all of these little things. It's the way you catch your breath. It's the way you hold your body. Like, it's all of these things. That is your personal power, is everything that happens on the body level. And we have to get to know that power, so that when someone like you, who is in their personal power, says, be in your personal power, and you're like, how do I do that? But yes, great in concept, right? That is beautiful. But do we know it? Do we feel it? Can we be in relationship with our personal power? And I think that is the journey that I've been on, and that I want to help other women in this world, you know, in this industry be on, is, yes, you have personal power, but do you know your personal power? Are you in a relationship with it?
That is brilliant.
Once you can embody that and feel it, and know when there's the triggers, and know how to work with the contractions, and know when to work with that, it's like, okay, everything opens up now. Now we really have that deeper capacity to choose.
I get a visual for this. It's like I've stretched my lung capacity and I'm able to swim to the bottom of the ocean and pick up a gold coin from the bottom of the ocean. And someone says, oh my gosh, I want to swim to the bottom of the ocean and pick up a coin from the bottom of the ocean. And I say, go, you have the lung capacity. And they just go and try to swim to the bottom of the ocean without ever done any lung training, breathing training whatsoever. They're going to get halfway down. Their brain's going to feel like it's going to explode. Their lungs are going to feel like they're going to explode. And they have to come back up like, what? I don't have it. It hurt. I thought I was going to die. Like I'm not good enough. Whereas you're the person who helps people regulate their breathing so they, and their body so they can make it to the bottom of the ocean and back. That's the visual.
It doesn't mean they can't get down there, right? It's just you have worked over time to build that, to grow that within yourself. You know, I can hold my breath that long, get down there. It doesn't mean
I feel safe.
Yeah.
I feel safe in my breath. I feel safe with the pressure. A person who doesn't feel safe with their breath and doesn't feel safe with the pressure is going to experience trauma on the way down when they don't have it. And you help them regulate every step so they can make it down and back up with their own lung capacity.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yes.
I love it so much.
That's it in a nutshell right there.
That's it in a nutshell. And I feel like that's really what the world needs more than anything right now, because when we're looking at social media, we're looking around us, we're seeing the success, we're seeing people dive for shiny coins. We're like, me too. Like, I know I could do it inside of me. I know I could. And then we try for it and the pressure feels like it's going to kill us and we can't breathe. And then we turn the page and I can't do that. But it's like, there's a training sometimes required. And that is this work that you do, that you've really been able to lead yourself through really intense things, all things considered, very fast. Like, this was a very intense thing you went through. And within a year, you're back and you've got a message and you've got a strength and you've got a power and you see life differently. Like, can anybody here imagine what it would be like to remove yourself from a situation that's causing you pressure and trauma, go into yourself, heal the whole freaking thing in a year and come back like you own the room in a year? What that could do to your life? Like, that is a masterpiece. I'm really grateful that you were in this channel, and I'm really grateful that you followed your intuition and that you did what you did so you could model this for the world, because this was world class.
This was exactly what I was supposed to go on. I see that now, right after 2 years, like, oh, it all makes sense. I get it now.
And you know what the crazy thing is if you would have come into the channel and everyone would have just welcomed you right away the way you thought they would, and you would have felt like you belonged the way you thought you would have ended up going, and because of this channel, I belong, which would have missed the entire point. There's a difference between I belong in this channel and because of this channel, I belong. The goal was that you found this for yourself and you did it your way, using your modalities. And that's exactly what God, Mother Nature, the universe needed you to do in order for this to stay, to stick, to land, for you to be the leader that you are. So, oh my gosh, my heart's so full. I'm so happy. Thank you for everything. Thank you for a beautiful journey. I'm going to read your bio. You have a beautiful bio, so I'm going to read this. This is a wonderful day. Courtney Gafken Allison is a mentor, coach, and master breathwork facilitator who is passionate about helping leaders, entrepreneurs, and purpose-led women rise and expand in their emotional power and leadership. The body and nervous system led way. She specializes in nervous system work, somatics, breath work, and energy work to help her clients work from within to create and build the life and business they desire. She is on a mission to bring embodiment work to the forefront of the personal development and leadership world, as who we are within matters greater than the work we do outside of us. Through her coaching, group programs, and podcasts, she impacts women all over the world who are ready to up-level their entire being and expand their life. I'm really excited for all the people who get to experience this with you. I feel like this is just the most beautiful healing thread. And for anyone who caught it, they can find a beautiful path through your work. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your generosity of your time, your spirit, your energy, your love. We are very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being present with us today. We have another call coming in a few hours this afternoon. Make sure you make it live with us, and then another one this evening, 3 calls today, and they're all magnificent. And next up is Karen, I believe, is our next speaker. Yes, Karen McMullen is the next one. She's going to be on at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so make sure you join us back here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Courtney, thank you once more, and we will see you on the internet.